John Harold Force, born May 4, 1949 in Bell Gardens, California, is an American NHRA drag racer. He is a 16-time NHRA and 1-time AHRA Funny Car Champion driver and a 21-time champion car owner. Force owns and drives for John Force Racing, JFR. He is one of the most dominant drag racers in the sport with 155 career victories. He graduated from Bell Gardens High School and briefly attended Cerritos Junior College to play football. He is the father of drag racers Ashley Force Hood, Brittany Force, and Courtney Force. His oldest daughter Adria Height is the CFO of JFR. Current drivers racing for his team are son-in-law Robert Height and daughter Brittany. Mike Neff was crew chief for John 2 separate times. Effective July 2013, Jimmy Prock replaced Mike Neff as crew chief, and Mike Neff became crew chief for Robert Height. Neff, who was once the crew chief for rival driver Gary Scelzi, raced in a fourth funny car for JFR from October 26, 2007, following the death of Eric Medlin, until the end of the 2009 season. However, in 2010, after a 2009 season in which Force did not win a single race, Force parked his fourth car, and named Neff as his new crew chief instead. This decision resulted in Force winning his 15th NHRA championship. His nickname among several of the drivers, as well as several announcers within the sport of drag racing, is Brute Force, a nickname he earned by his dominating wins during his run of 10 straight NHRA championships. Force, his daughters, Courtney, Ashley, and Brittany, and son-in-law Robert Height are collectively known as the First Family of Drag Racing. Force was born to Harold and Betty Ruth Force in the Los Angeles suburb of Bell Gardens, California. As a child he lived in logging camps, Indian reservations, migrant farms, and trailer parks. He survived childhood polio with therapy and perseverance of his mother and family. He played football in high school and attended Cerritos College. John is one of 6 children. John has 5 siblings: Walker, Louie, Tom, now deceased, and Cindy Hem, married to Skip Hem, were all older than John. Dana, baby Force, Marino is 10 years younger than John. Walker and Cindy still live near John in Southern California. Walker Force and Louie Force have worked with John over the years, but Walker Force is the only sibling now working at JFR. Younger sister Dana, Marino, did not grow up in the same house or spend any time with the family in the early years of the Force family racing activities. Dana now attends some of the NHRA events as she is a part-time intern journalist with the Motorsports Report based in Las Vegas, Nevada, and resides an hour south in Kingman, AZ. She is a realtor by trade, but is Aunt Dana to Adria, Ashley, Courtney and Brittany. Much of the family still attends NHRA national events to cheer on John. Robert Height, Adria's husband, Brittany and Austin Prock, JFR crew chief Jimmy Prock's son, when the events are closer to their homes in Pomona, Las Vegas, Sonoma, and Phoenix. In 1971, Force drove the Jack Chrisman-built Night Stalker Mustang, his first funny car. Early in his career, he drove a Corvette, a Monza, and then in the 1980s switched to an Oldsmobile Cutlass through the end of the 1993 season. He drove a Chevrolet for 1994, quickly changing to a Pontiac in 1995 and 1996. Force was a Ford driver and team owner from 1997 until 2014, when he returned to Chevrolet. Between 1987 and 1996, Force won 67 of 203 NHRA national events, 4 of 9 Big Bird shootouts, and 6 world championships. In 1996, with Austin coil tuning, Force went to the final round in 16 of 19 national events, taking 13 wins, one of the best records ever in funny car history. His domination would continue, with 10 NHRA FC World Championship wins from 1993 to 2002, including 6 straight 1997 to 2002. His success was so amazing, he was accused of cheating, and was willing to strip off his fire suit to prove he was not. Between 1997 and 2006, Force went to the final in 105 of 228 events and took 61 Tour wins. On top of that, he had 10 of the quickest or fastest passes in Funny Car. In 1992, the honor of putting Force on the trailer would go to Cruz Pedregan. Driving the Larry Minor McDonald-sponsored Olds to the championship, Force's points finishes were 23rd, 8th, 26th, 16th, 20th, 4th, 13th, and 5th from 1978 to 1985. Force then had Castrol Motor Oil jump on as his main sponsor, and was even more successful. From 1986 to 1995, he finished 4th, 6th, 1st, 2nd, 1st, and 1st. He then had fellow driver and arch-rival Cruz Pedregan's younger brother, Tony, come aboard to drive John's second car. From 1996 to 2000, John finished first all 5 years. In 2001, John had longtime friend and fellow drag racer Gary Densham drive a third car. In that same year, John once again finished as the champion, which he followed up with an astronomical 10th straight world title in 2002. In 2003, for the first time since 1992, John didn't win the title. It was not all lost, however, because teammate Tony Pedregan won his first world title. At the end of the season, Tony Pedregan went on to join Brother Cruz in their own racing organization, and Gary Densham went on to race independently. John found quick and personal talent in two young guns. Eric Medlin, son of longtime JFR crew member John Medlin, came on to race. John's other driver, Robert Height, was his son-in-law and crew member. Both had a lot of success in their season, but John topped both in 2004 with a 13th world title. In 2000, Force was sponsored by BP's Castrol brand, continuing the relationship between Force and Castrol that began in 1985 and lasted through 2014. After winning his fourth Funny Car title in 1994, Force earned the nickname of Brute Force from drivers and even announcers such as Steve Evans. This nickname harkens back to his early days on the track, when he drove his own unsponsored car, named Brute Force. Force had a cameo in a 2004 episode of King of the Hill, Dale Be Not Proud, in which Dale Gribble donates a kidney to Force, after which it appears he does not need it. In 2005, Force won 5 events, but only finished third in the championship standings, 32 points behind champion Gary Scelzi, and 24 points behind Ron Capps, both of Don Schumacher Racing. In 2006, Force won his 14th NHRA World Funny Car Championship, defeating Capps in the quarterfinals of the Automobile Club of Southern California NHRA Finals, which mathematically eliminated Capps and teammate Robert Height from the championship. Force went on to win the event, his third of the season and 122nd of his career, after the death of Eric Medlin and John Force's crash in Ennis, Texas at the 2007 O'Reilly NHRA Fall Nationals. Force started 2007 poorly, suffering a DNQ ending a 20-plus-year consecutive qualifying streak. He rebounded, winning the O'Reilly NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals in Bristol, Tennessee, then proceeded on to 3 more final rounds, winning another race in Sonoma, California, putting him 4th in points and allowing him to make the first cut in NHRA's new point system, the Countdown to the Championship, aka the Countdown to 8. He stumbled again in the next 2 races but, again, rebounded until his crash, on September 23, 2007. Force was injured in a crash at the O'Reilly Auto Parts Fall Nationals in Ennis, Texas as he crossed the finish line against Kenny Bernstein. Bernstein's funny car drifted into Force's lane, clipping the final timing cone and a foam block which shot into Force's lane. Initially, it was thought that the block ruptured Force's left rear tire, causing it to come apart, violently shaking the chassis until it broke apart. However, it was determined by NHRA after a thorough review that the block went behind Force's tire and was not the cause of the wreck. Injuries sustained were a broken ankle, abrasion of his right knee, a dislocated left wrist, and badly mangled fingers and toes, and Force had to be airlifted to Baylor University Medical Center in Dallas. Bill Burkhart Jr. was added as Force's replacement for the remainder of the 2007 season. Starting at Las Vegas. 2008 was a subpar season for Force, who finished 7th out of the top 5 for the first time since early in his career. However, after the death of driver Scott Calita, he was instrumental in the development of some of the safety precautions that were implemented throughout the rest of the season, and along with retired 6-time world champion Kenny Bernstein, 4 funny car titles, 2 Top Fuel titles, and 7-time Top Fuel champion Tony Schumacher, with backing from NHRA's Track Safety Committee, assisted in developing a sensor that monitors the engines of Top Fuel dragsters and funny cars. Should the engine backfire at any time during a race, the fuel pump is automatically shut down, and the parachutes are deployed. The idea was to either minimize or eliminate the circumstances that led to Calita's death. This safety device became mandatory and was put into place at the start of the 2009 season. Also, a brake handle that, instead of needing to be pulled back toward the driver, was set up to be pushed away from the driver, was made an optional setting for the funny car division. This change happened because when the 2008 season began, Force's right arm was still in a cast due to broken fingers, and he needed a different way of using the brakes on the car, rather than the traditional handbrake that needed to be brought back toward the driver. Also, in the 2007 accident in Texas, Force had lost some grip in his right hand, and had some problems putting enough pressure on the handbrake to unlock it from position to apply the brakes. This led to the development of the forward application handbrake, which has given several drivers in the funny car class quicker access to the brakes. Though Force only finished 7th in the points in 2008, he became influential within the NHRA for innovations in driver safety. 2009 once again saw Force finish outside of the top 5. John finished 9th, daughter Ashley finished 2nd, and Mike Neff placing 10th. However, he would win his 16th overall championship as a car owner, with teammate Robert Height's championship, placing Force as the winningest car owner in NHRA history. The start of the 2010 season saw Force celebrate 25 years with the same sponsor, as well as 34 years in the NHRA. On February 14th, Force won the season opener at Auto Club Raceway at Pomona in the 50th Winter Nationals in California, defeating Ron Capps. After 13 events, Force had 4 wins, and lead the funny car points standings with 933. 58 ahead of teammate Robert Height, going into the Auto Club of Southern California Finals in Pomona, CA on November 14, 2010. Force needed some help to win the championship. He started the day 38 points behind 28-year-old Matt Hagan, who ran for team rival Don Schumacher and his team. In order to capture the championship, he needed to finish 2 rounds ahead of Hagan, with Bob Tasker 3 taking Hagan out in the first round. Force won his first round over Gary Densham and second round win over Bob Bode, securing the championship. He then went on to victory, beating Melanie Troxell in the semi-finals and in the final defeated Jeff Arend. John Force now has the distinction of being the oldest NHRA champion in history. Longtime crew chief Austin Coyle resigned from John Force Racing on November 16, 2010. As of February 7, 2011, JFR has already flip-flopped cars between John, Robert, Ashley, and Mike. Ashley Forcehood announced that she was expecting her first child, and would sit out the 2011 full-throttle drag racing season. John Force would drive Forcehood's new Ford Mustang with Dean Antonelli and Ron Douglas tuning. Sponsored by Castrol Motor Oil, Robert Height will remain in the Auto Club of Southern California Ford Mustang. Mike Neff, after co-crew chiefing John Force's car with Austin Coyle, will drive Force's car from John's 2010 championship season. Neff's Ford Mustang will be sponsored by Castrol Oil. As of February 7, 2011, JFR started testing for the 2011 season. Out of the 11 testers so far, Force is first, Height was 5th, and Neff was 6th. As of July 31, Force is 7th in the points standings, while teammate Mike Neff is leading, and Robert Height is in 2nd. 2012 saw John welcome a 4th driver to his stable. former top alcohol dragster champion, and daughter Courtney, who was in the running for the Auto Club Rookie of the Year award. She will be driving the Trackers Ford Mustang in her rookie season. And she has done something that only sister Ashley has done. Beat her father in the first meeting between the two, taking John out of the Arizona Nationals in Phoenix in just the first round. Although Force was unable to retain the championship, finishing in 5th, he saw Courtney win something he never did, the NHRA Road to the Future Rookie of the Year award. And Courtney's second-place finish in the season helped cement John Force Racing's legacy for several years to come. During the start of the 2013 season, Ashley announced her retirement from full-time competition. This left the Force team short a driver. Rather than find another driver to take Ashley's place within the Castrol GTX funny car, John did something he had never done before: field a top fuel car, with daughter Brittany behind the wheel. On July 26, 2013, it was announced that after the 2014 racing season, Ford Motor Company would no longer be a part of John Force Racing. It was also announced that after the 2014 racing season, primary sponsor Castrol would be leaving JFR after a 29-year business relationship. During the penultimate race of the 2013 season, Force beat his daughter Courtney in the final round to win the race and his 16th NHRA Funny Car Championship. 2014, he won at the season opener in Pomona, California, as well wins in Norwalk, Ohio and Seattle, Washington, as he would finish second points. In 2015, John announced a partnership with Chevrolet. He competed in the 2015 racing season with a new sponsorship deal from Peak Antifreeze. John's daughter Brittany and Robert Height both won the championship in Top Fuel and Funny Car, respectively. Advance Auto Parts joined team, sponsoring Courtney Force and rest of JFR team's 2018 won at the Denver event for his only win of the season. On August 4, 2019, John Force won his 150th race at the Magic Dry Organic Absorbent NHRA Northwest Nationals in Seattle, Washington, edging out Ron Capps and breaking a 25-race winless streak, having last won in Colorado the year prior. Also against Capps, John expressed extreme relief after winning, his first words to the camera being obscenities, which NHRA had to censor, as the broadcast was on network television. Force was not present in the winner's circle, having ridden his pit bike to the stands to watch Austin Prock, a driver on his Top Fuel team and son of a Force racing mechanic, win his first race, and was still celebrating with fans while Prock was being interviewed. Force further celebrated the 2019 season by winning the U.S. Nationals. Daughter Courtney Force retired from driving. He was the runner-up at the season opener in Pomona, California, but after 2 events he and his teams didn't run again in the 2020 season due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but would in the following year. In his return after missing most of the previous year because of the COVID-19 pandemic, he won 3 events. He won at the Charlotte 4-wide, Epping, and Topeka events. At Dallas for the first time since 2018, John Force was set on fire in a crash that echoed his win in 1996, where his Castrol car caught fire at this track. 2022, he gained his first win of the season at the 4-wide Nationals in Charlotte, NC.